Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Stargate Call. I'm your host, Janet Kara Lesson, with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alex Lesson. Our producer is Thomas Becker, also known as the Mad Painter, and you're listening to Revolution Radio Studio B. Tonight, our guest is Karen Gresham Nickell, and we're having a little bit of technical difficulties pulling her in, so we're going to talk while Thomas keeps trying to get her. Let me tell you a little bit about Karen. She is a clinical hypnotherapist, and she does energy readings. In the late 1970s and early 80s, Karen worked as a researcher for author David St. Clair. Their work together took them through the world, including Brazil, the UK, the US, and Mexico, where they presented workshops and private consultations. It was in Rio that Karen undertook a project for intensive personal spiritual discovery focused on indigenous Brazilian practices, along with the exploration of paranormal phenomena. During the mid-1980s, Karen operated her private practice in the Paraoli residential section of Rome, Italy. Over the past 35 years, Karen has worked as a transformational teacher, helping everyone from national and international celebrities to ordinary people, including students and children throughout the world. Her clients have included Federico Fellini, Franco Brusatte, and Antonio Carlos. Tom Jobim, who's a Brazilian composer, The Girl from Ipanema. Do you remember that song? Girl from Ipanema. And she has appeared on international TV and radio around the world. Karen offers energy readings and clinical hypnotherapy to individuals, entrepreneurs, and cultural creatives, as well as mediumship readings for those who have lost loved ones. Now, do we have her on yet, Mad? Okay, let me try telling her to call. Sasha, do you want to?
She said she had another number. Have her give it to you, and I'll try it.
I could not make out what you said because it was starting to give us feedback. Okay, let me try the other number. Hold on one second. Let me look it up here. Okay. Hold on. I'm getting it. Talks on. We don't have there.
Okay. Oh, I should never would I allow dead air. No, I'm just so thrilled, Thomas, that you said that I'm live. I was worried about it. That's very reassuring to know I'm alive.
Yeah, he's alive. Yeah, so that's good because we never know these days. Always say, "Are you alive?"
Oh.
Okay, we're talking to ourselves. Okay, I'm trying to give you this number. 1 second here. Oh God. Okay, here it says.
A funny thing happened on the way to the studio.
You're talking, honey. You can talk. You know how to talk. I've listened to you for hours. I know you can talk.
So on the way to the studio here, what that means is in our house, we walk from one room to the next. We are here in Corina's arms.
Oh, yeah, that's the thing. Why can't I find where to type, Ahmed? I need to type to you.
So Janet's quarantining so that the world can't get to her because she knows that the virus lurks out there. And I go get groceries and stuff.
Okay, let me...
She wants her to let us. She wants me to keep talking.
Trying to figure this out.
She's trying to figure it out.
The number... I can't see where the everything is. Oh, shoot.
She's struggling with the computer.
I don't want to say this number live.
She wants you to
call her.
she wants you to know that she's diligently efforting toward getting us back on the air.
Thing where I can type to you.
So we are demonstrating how it's like when
okay, so I'm on the Skype. Okay. It went into a little but it's a tiny, so how do I get it big again? Oh, God. Why is it tiny? Oh, here's something here. Okay, there it is. Okay, keep talking, honey. You're going to be ad-libbing. Staring at me.
Okay, so what I've been doing for all these people that are confined, I'm a Tantra teacher, so I give people lessons over the Facebook and my various sites on what they can do with the people that are in the house with them or over the internet, and it's just giving people a chance to really, get to know the people they're living with, and really go deeper. It's an opportunity if you really use it to make the most. First of all, there's time that you can be alone. For some people, that's a treat to just be alone and be inward, and then if there's other people or animals there, you get to be more intense with them and tune them in and let them feel you. And so and it makes you more conscious of health and taking care of yourself and taking care of the people you love. And this can be a time of great growth and opportunity for us.
Did that number come through that I typed to you? Did you get it, Matt? Hello? Oh, shoot.
Bang.
Okay, here's something. Oh, it's not giving. Oh, here it is. Here it is. I clicked something. Okay, now. Oh, down in the corner. Oh, here's a comment thing. Okay, now I got it. I just couldn't find it. Okay. There it is. Okay. Here is the number coming. Okay, 1 second. There it is. You got it? Should be there right now. Okay, there we go. So we've been here. We don't know if the court. Okay, wait a minute. Let me try again. Hold on. Let me get the other number. I know she has 2 in her thing here. Okay. Here's another one. And that's yours. Okay. Keep talking, honey. You gotta learn how to ad-lib. Not just stare at me trying to make this happen. Keep talking.
Yes, I was talking. You interrupted my talking.
I'm done interrupting you. You keep talking.
Okay.
This is how couple fights when they're trying to get up.
I'm not fighting, darling.
Fighting.
You're right.
There, I found another number. Okay. Anyway, what were you saying, honey?
I was
trying to get Karen on.
Oh, I was just saying it's a great time to practice ad living.
So we're looking at all the conspiracy theories, and we don't know if this is real or not. We don't even know if existence is real. We don't even know if we're alive. Are we alive, honey? So that's where we started the conversation. It's really good to know if you're alive or not. But this could all be a virtual reality, and it's all an illusion. So we're over here on the Revolution Radio, and we're trying to figure it out with everybody else. Yes, she's saying, keep ad-libbing, honey, keep ad-libbing.
So one of the interesting things to do is to be both dualistic and non-dualistic at the same time. So that to just think of it that anything that, especially anything in life that bugs you, or that especially things that bug you, are somehow, they wouldn't get to you unless there was something in you that is reacting to it. So if somebody's angry, you can't stand to be around them because they're angry, then you got to look inside and say, hey, is there a part of me that's angry that I don't want to listen to? And when I see this other person, I'm reminded of that. And so if you start looking at things that way, then everything that bugs you gets to be a chance, not for you to have to react to whatever's going on outside, but it takes, when it's right, to look inside and say, why does that bug me? And it's the same thing with anything you overly admire. Oh, I wish I could be rich like so-and-so, and blah, 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 blah. It's like, and what that comes down to, what is it that guy's got you? Oh, you want to earn some more money? Is that what you want to do? Just go for your own, what you really need. And what usually comes down, the reason you're triggered by other people is because you learned not to listen to the vulnerability that's underlying whatever they're laying on you. It reminds you of your own vulnerability.
Excellent. Okay.
Hello? Hi. Okay, great. Well, it's kind of funny because I was talking to AT&T like an hour ago, and they're having problems with their lines. And so it may be, yeah. Okay, great.
Hi. Can you hear us? Okay.
Okay, great. Hi, Janet.
Hi, we're back live. Sasha, get over here, please. We're live again. We did your intro already, but what would you like to talk about this week?
Well, it would be good to start out maybe with what's going on our planet, right?
Yes, that would be ideal.
I know.
Sasha, we're back live. Where are you?
I always have such a good time with you guys.
Yeah, well, I lost my husband. He walked away.
I'm 79 years old. I can go to the toilet when I want.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hi, Scott.
Hi.
We're having fun. Okay, from your perspective, where do you live? What part of the world? I mean, not your address, but what part of the world are you in?
I live in Dallas, Texas.
Oh, okay.
It's Central Standard Time.
So from your perspective in Dallas, Texas, what is going on in the world right now? What do you think is happening?
And especially in Dallas, that's where everything crosses.
My perspective is a lot different from Dallas, Texas.
Okay.
They're a little too conventional for me. But no, Texas is very good as far as their medical sources are concerned. And that's great. But, there's just our whole planet is going through a transition to awakened consciousness, as we all know. And I feel, this is my opinion, I feel that because we're all energy, that even though there's been so much going on, and I've seen a lot of neat films, and I've posted as many as I can to try to teach and awaken those. I have a said number of students, and then I have those that I'm trying to reach that aren't my students. And I don't know how many people are truly awakening in the masses enough, because in the mass consciousness, the energies will pull in its likeness of what needs to be awakened in order to evolve the planet. And so I feel like it's going to be okay, but we're in for some rough waters because people need to follow the lines of taking care of themselves and others, with the mask and the gloves. I rarely ever see that here. And others have said the same thing.
Great.
What about in Hawaii?
Well, over here, I haven't been out in 3 months because I am compromised.
Oh, that's great.
I have lung disease, but the air quality is much better. Everything's clean. But from my personal perspective, I don't know what's actually 100% real or not, because there's a lot of propaganda. There's a lot of information, disinformation. On a spiritual level, I have my contact with Source, and I get that this is kind of like the perturbation of a closed system that becomes so perverse, and it was just kind of stalled. It wasn't going anywhere. And so this is our wake-up call for people to, do something to be kind and loving to the apparent others, to the people in your lives, to the animals in your life, to your environment, to get conscious on that level. But we get bogged down in the politics and the particulars, and we forget to really love each other. So my download from Source and Higher Awareness and my ET guides, or however you want to symbol it, I symbol it my own way, was that to put a litmus on it. If it's not kind, loving, conscious, compassionate, empathetic, then let it go, because that's not truth. Everything else is lies except for love. The only true answer is love. And I know it sounds like a cliche, but it's kind of a litmus you can apply. So I notice all these things are kind of cruel. They end up with people hurting each other. The 3 kids in McDonald's that were just, working their first job, they get abused and shot at, and then the one guy at the dollar store, and the intention when someone says, "Will you please wear your mask?" is to save lives. So I don't really care about the particulars of the politics. Mm-hmm. That's not it. It's like the intention of the person saying, please put the mask on. It'll save your life. It'll save all the lives of the people coming in here. Please, because we're all tired of being locked down. We're tired. I don't think we're ever going back to what we had before. And so this will be known as COVID or BC before COVID, and COVID is what we're in right now, and then AC after COVID. And historians will look back at this as a transformational period. I hope we get it right, but I'm not 100% sure what right is, except if it's not kind, loving, conscious, compassionate. That definitely is wrong. That's in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly. I ditto that. Yeah, the whole thing's out of balance. Yeah, I think so. But we came here to do this, we came in, there's a cute little, y'all are friends of mine on Facebook, and someone sent me the cutest, dearest little video about 2 little girls talking about this, and it's darling, and it's so purely true. And so if you get a chance, or I'll send it to you, take a look at it. It's the cutest. It sums up what we're talking about in the sweetest, purest, real way that the planet has. These 2 little girls are not from Earth, and they tell all about when they come here and all that. It's really neat. But they're humans. They look like humans, but they're not from here. It's really cute. So there's all kinds of things that are coming out, that people need to start asking questions. It's like, Deepak Chopra, his belief is that, when you're following the path, you have to live death and life at the same time.
Oh.
And, say that again. You have to what? You have to live?
You have to be in the consciousness, be aware of life and death and the pathway at the whole thing, to seek for the higher consciousness. And I think so many people can't talk about this stuff that's going on, and what I've experienced, or they want to live in lollipops and roses all the time. And I wish we could, and someday we can, but we can't right now because we have work to do as light workers in awakening humankind. And I feel like there's a lot of people not from here that are helping too. I really do. The time is come.
With our guest yesterday, that there are a lot of extraterrestrials that are and I forget what her stats were, but she thought there's only really 20% humans. That everybody else hybrid or mixed or their solar origin comes somewhere else. And we're all gathered here to do what we have to do here, to awaken consciousness for all of existence and to accelerate humanity, which has such huge potential. We have the metagene, where we can bring heaven to earth and experience it in human form without having to physically die, and so you get our meditative
exactly. Absolutely, we do. We do. And I guess that's what we're all supposed to do, is to help bring it in. Don't you guys think? I mean,
I would suggest that that it's really everything is perfect as it is, including the challenges that are awakening you and me and others to what's needed right now. And all you have to really do is attend totally to the here and now. Which and it's perfect. It's utterly perfect. And one of the best ways I know to do that is to ask the energies at each level of your consciousness. What is your inner child, part of you that's sensitive and vulnerable, relate? And what does your sensual being? What does your power side that can follow or lead? Your loving side that can give or take. What is the balance in each of those? And when you turn your attention out to what's inside you, you see what's resonating all around you too. And so what I suggest about the current time is to not alienate ourselves from those who seem to be holding us down, because in some sense we need, I think, to embrace their inner needs in a way that's congruent and synergistic with our inner needs. And not perpetuate the dualism, which is what we're trying, which I believe is the root cause of this problem, that some beings are superior to others, when in fact every being has its light to shine, and they're all perfect and beautiful, and none need to rule others.
I agree. I think this is a transition for all of us, and I've noticed that myself, as well as most of the people around that I'm close to, are taking little vignettes or receiving little vignettes from their inner child from the first time they entered into this live theater, all the way through little inventories to cleanse that and to research a lot of stuff. And I think I found a lot of people doing that.
You mentioned that you have some, you said videos or movies that you're showing. Do you have that somewhere where we could access that? These are part of your teachings.
I can't hear you. Hold on.
Oh, okay. Let me go closer to the mic. I'm sorry? I was facing away.
Oh, I can hear you
so
well.
When you started, you said you were teaching, and you had, I think you said you had some videos. Do you have like a website we could look at where?
Oh yeah,
your teachings
on my website. I did they send you my press kit? I think you have.
No, I was trying to reach you last couple of days. I pulled up your ancient stuff.
I've loved to do our shows we've done in the past, but my I don't know how to send it. I'll get Derek to do it later, but my website is KarenGresham.com. KarenGresham.com, and I can try to see if I can send that to you.
No, I got it. KarenGresham.com.
Yeah, but I need my other stuff.
Okay.
I didn't know.
Let me double check. Maybe they sent because you're coming up on a conference. How are you guys going to do the conference? Are you going to do it virtual or live? What's your plans?
I'm sorry?
This conference that we've been to many times in the past, the one in Laughlin, are they still planning to do that?
I don't know what they're going to do. I assume that they're still going to have it there. I don't know. I don't have any idea about it. I have looked at Paula's things, and she's still talking about their Crestone and the Laughlin. And, I think we have to kind of live in the now from day to day to see kind of what happens. Don't you, right? I mean, that's what I feel.
Oh, I agree. But, and I think that since it's been so horrendous, planes will probably be cheap, even up to which is the good side.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Who's going to fly? And how many people are going to get in there? Isn't that funny?
Right. And so, I guess if you show up, you're at least holding space for the future potential that will all be, back at maximum potential somewhere in time. But for me, I'm not going anywhere for quite a while. I might be here for years. I might be here the rest of my life. I don't know, because I haven't quite wrapped my head around this 100%. And it's, I value my life, and I really take offense to people who think I should go sacrifice my life because I'm old. I said, no, I came to deserve life on every second. I actually, when I was a young girl, I had a horoscope done by this man, and he said, you have to come to my house. I have to talk about this in person, not on the phone. So I took an hour bus to get to his house, and he said, I see your death. I go, what do you mean? You're just in my horoscope, in my chart, right? And he said, oh, no. I can, any good astrologer can see where you leave, based on all the signs. And he says, you don't leave. I don't see you dying. And I went, wow, isn't that interesting? Because I'm an Aquarian, and I always thought, well, maybe we're at the time where we'll have extreme longevity or physical immortality, because we're being born at a time where, now we know the human genome is being decoded and technology is advanced. So, somebody has to be born in a time where they're not going to die within the 100 to 120 range that, we're so-called given by God and the Bible. So when he said that, and this is back in the early 90s, I said, well, wow, maybe we are the generation.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, we came in all in divine order for this very time, really.
Yeah.
This is it. This is when the bugles are called, and of all of our species beyond here, in which we're a part of. And I think there are many emotions involved with it, sadness, tragedy, and happiness, and an opportunity to really feel love, like when you look at a leaf on a tree or a petal on a flower. Do you know what I mean? I think everybody.
Yes.
I happen to be really fond of dolphins. So that's what I do. I go to the Keys, and I have my dolphin children. So, and I know you all have a lot up there. I can imagine how wonderful it is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. They're so sweet.
They come whenever you play. People's playing a didgeridoo. They just come. They crowd by the boat. They love the didgeridoos here. The dolphins.
Neat. Oh, I know, they're so sweet. Y'all live in a beautiful place. And I think you all are pretty safe out there as far as what's happening.
Yeah.
Now, y'all don't have a very high count, do you?
Well, we were at the epicenter of the Hawaiian Islands. I can give you the count real quick here. I have it queued up. I think we ended up with for our population, it was a lot. Let me see what the number is. Pull it up in 2 seconds here. I'm doing the death count. I'm looking at it. How many people have left? How many people? So there's a thing called NCOV 2019 Live. A 17-year-old young man created this statistic site that it's a live tracking system. And it's very interesting. And so I can just go down to Hawaii, and it'll tell me what's going on right now. Let me look real quick. So Hawaii's out at the bottom. We're one of the better states. Let's see. We still have, here it is. We have 635 cases.
No new deaths in several days.
Huh?
No new deaths.
We flattened the curve. We had one more today. Only 17 died. But that's because we can block off everybody coming in, right? So as soon as you get aware, we stop the planes coming. So nobody's going in.
You don't have many, do you? It's almost like you're protected in a magical bubble or something of light. I feel, because I read energies, and I can feel a big protection there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're in a good place. So But I feel for people that are in areas where, New York has 348,000 and 27,000 died. And so, is that all? Yeah. Anyway.
How many?
We're 300,000 people died on the planet, and we have we're approaching 4.5 million cases, which I don't know how that compares with the Spanish flu. I wish I had a side-by-side chart.
I don't know. I sure don't. I think it's totally different, but it's all, the coronavirus is just many different types from the common cold, actually. And this is maybe mutated. I'm not sure. But, by the way, my manager just sent you my press kit. And so you can say, I've got an angel who helps me. I'm telling you, he's better than wonderful. So that'll tell you if you have anything. If I can do anything else, just let me know.
I will pull that up. I will update the page for today's show, which is on aquarianradio.com, which is where I keep track of all the things that all the people I interview and where I've been interviewed. I don't have 100% of them. I've lost some, but I started to keep track in 2012. Okay,
yeah, I always post your show, every time, and I'll let Derek do it. He'll put it out there, so that's great. I always love to be on your shows. It's always so much fun. And just ask me anything you want to. I'm just an open book.
Well, let's go back into. I have your page here, and I can look over.
I got something that would really be cool. Yeah, it's like if Dallas has a soul, is a creature, and you were identifying with Dallas, and you were speaking as Dallas. What do you like, and what do you need, and what do you like nowadays at this very time, Dallas?
What do I like about Dallas?
Well, be Dallas, and if you're Dallas, describe your existence. What are your characteristics and qualities and needs?
Well, I really have a lot. I work in the medical field too because I'm a clinical hypnotherapist, and I do some research also with the brain and the mind. And I worked for this doctor. We had a practice for years and ended in '96. He was Michael DeBakey's partner, and so I have been working in the medical field for a long time and trying to juggle the medical field with the metaphysical field, and it's really been a struggle. But I have a lot of respect for the medical field in this state, in Dallas and Houston. And I just studied this guy the other night. His name is Eben Alexander. He's had a life experience, afterlife experience. He's a neurosurgeon from Harvard, who I think he's either in North Carolina or Virginia. And I stayed up all night studying his stuff. I felt like I was back in college again. But
wow.
I posted him also for everybody to enjoy because he talks about the consciousness and the brain and how far we go. That's really it. So I'm here because I was born to do this, to awaken myself, to work on myself, to bring in the light and grow and help others. And that's what I've come here to do. And why I'm in Dallas, I don't know. I'm in Dallas right now, but I haven't always been in Dallas. I've lived in Brazil. I've lived in Italy, and I've been everywhere. So, but I would say for the past 20 years, I've lived in Dallas. For the past since 2000. So it's interesting. I can't really tell you why I'm here. I'm here, I guess, because I'm supposed to be here. And
what does the city need?
Pardon
what
me?
Does Dallas need from you? What does Dallas need from you? What is your mission here in this particular city all this time?
Well, I think that a lot of people need to wake up to a higher consciousness of non-materialism, and there's as everywhere, especially in some parts of the world more than others, are trying to balance and work on the ego and the higher consciousness, and not live so much on 3D, the heaviness of the earth plane, and enjoy the earth plane, because there are a lot of beautiful things on this planet. But it's how they enjoy it and how they seek, and also to work on the lessons that they chose to come here with, as well as myself and all of us, how we entered in here, and it's called karma, and to go through that and to make those right. Now, I've been through a lot for the past year. Myself, I lost my husband 6 months ago. And, I think y'all met him before. And he had COPD. And I was here when he died. I was with him all the time. And he's come back with so many beautiful experiences. And actually, okay, this is the truth. He actually called on the telephone. Yeah.
Oh,
on this
did
very
that.
day. I don't know. I have it. It's a garble, and I had sound experts to analyze it, and from his real voice that I had before he died, and this. And the only thing I got from it was find a new vehicle, may find a better vehicle or something. That's it. And we looked at that, and his dearest friend who lives in our building here, he said, "Man, there's no doubt that that's Robert's voice." And I said, well, he was a real seeker and totally devoted with me. He was my galactic partner for many, many lives. And there's a long stories about how our past lives have been checked out, and England, a historian, and the whole thing did an analogy on it over the years, and he's worked real hard. And a week before he crossed, he said, "Now you know I'm going to be able to help you." And he said, "Just watch the synchronicities and look for everything around, and I'm going to try to do as much as I can do." And he did. So the first thing when he did pass, the most interesting thing is he wanted to have his Roswell T-shirt on with the little ETs on the front of it, his little black T-shirt, and he was wearing it. He was wearing it the day that he passed. And so, do you know that Moody Blues song? During our time, Tuesday afternoon.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, he when I did a celebration of life for him later, and he literally sat in the living room with me, his energy did, and picked out all the songs he wanted. And one just came up Tuesday afternoon, and he died at 5:30 on a Tuesday afternoon. And that song itself can it seem like someone is leaving and going somewhere. So, but anyway, back to this. The two people who came to get him, to pick him up after he passed, came in. This was very interesting. And there was a tall, large man with a dark black coat on, and very sweet, and a little tiny blonde-haired girl. And she walked in and said, "When we undress him, what would you like?" I said, "Well, definitely the T-shirt." And so they brought him out, and I saw his ethereal body from his waist up just raise up. And he was smiling. He was so happy. Now, this is the ethereal body for our audience out here who might hear. And it was the most wonderful thing. And she was at the foot of the stretcher, and the man was at the head. And we had two hospice nurses and his brother in the room. And it was a big room. And she looked at me, and she said, "Are you from Roswell?" And I said, "No." I said, "Are you?" And I thought, why am I asking her this? And she said, "Yes, I am." And I said, "Oh, wow." And I could feel Robert raising up from that part of his ethereal body, and looking and being so happy that he made his first contact. And I said, she grabbed my 2 fingers and she said, you know we're going to take care of him. I said, I know that. And I knew at that point that she was probably, I said, what do you think about 1947? She said, oh, we're part of the lineage. I said, I know. I said, and I know that. And such happiness was coming from his physical body. And I don't cry very much. I would love to. I try to, but I did. And it was really a beautiful thing. That was his very first contact. And we followed him down. And then they brought, later, I received his ashes. So we're going to the Dolphins when it's time.
Oh.
So that's one of the stories. And then he actually, I guess it was about 2 or 3 weeks later, he actually appeared as physical as he could. Not much, but I was lying in bed on my side, and I looked out of the corner of my eye, and I saw him standing up like he was watching the television or the weather or something. He loved to watch the weather. And he had his hand on his hip, just kind of relaxingly, and I could see him, but I could feel the energies and the dimensions. It was hard for him to come in and do that, and it was just like a split second. So I've been given a lot of gifts after he's left, and I thought that was great. I thought he did fantastic work. Plus, he sent me Derek and many other things. So that's my metaphysical experience, and I've lived it every second since then.
So he manifested physically. Did he have the T-shirt on
when he was standing?
Yes.
When he manifested after that?
Yes.
No, he just had on a regular kind of like a yellowish color or dark yellow, kind of a mustard color shirt or little jacket. It was just real casual. Yeah, it was just a split second, and I thought, I got a connection from him. I got that he really didn't want to leave, and that he was worried about me, and that he was trying to come through, and it was hard for him, and he was trying to break away, but yet he wanted to be here. So he was in the process of probably the observer's position, and they gave him, and I received all of this information from Source that they let him do that. But he has only done it one time.
So explain, and I've interacted with ghosts all of my life, so this is not a part that people know that much about me, because I'm mainly whatever, all the other things I am. But I have, what was I going to say? Oh, so you said he was in the observer position. Explain that. Is that part even?
Well, I got the impression that he was working on his stuff, and he was working on his lessons or some of his inventory from the last theater, which he'd just left, and that they gave him a break. This is my little verbiage. And they gave him a little break because he wanted to come back here. I didn't see him as a ghost. I felt that I was seeing him more in another dimension at the same time. And he slipped in here.
He got a hall pass.
Huh?
He got a hall pass from his lesson.
Yeah. Yeah, isn't that something?
He called you up. Oh, my gosh. That's wonderful.
It's wonderful, isn't it?
So I
figured, y'all are real good at this. I feel like that he must have had to be pretty evolved to be able to do something like that, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I have it on the. I don't tell a lot of people about it because it's real private. But if y'all are ever interested, when we get off the air, I'd love to share it with you. So.
Oh, I'd love to hear it. Yes. So how long is it? Just seconds? Or
it's about 3 seconds. It's enough to hear 3 words.
Okay.
And what I do is I let people hear his little voice when we were in the car having a regular conversation, and they can hear him then, and then I let them hear that. The friends, I've only let like 4 people hear it. And then Derek is my sound man, and he's also a musician, and very well-known musician. And so he has looked at it and said, wow, there's no doubt about it. I said, this is amazing that he was able to do that. And, a lot of them work with lights, coming on in the house, or electricity, or all kinds of things. And I'm in a one-bedroom apartment now, and I have a Bose radio at the end of my living room, which is pretty long, and I've not used it yet. And so in the middle of the night, maybe 2-3 weeks ago, it just came on blasting. And so he used to use that a lot when we were over at the other apartment in the same building. We had a large apartment. But so I think he was just wanting me to know that he was up here too. So there are a lot of little things, and everybody can do it if they live it, and they prepare to have their abilities to go with them when they leave their physical body. And he did.
Yeah, and it's interesting from this perspective, receiving what they're doing. So there was a man. He looked like he was from the early to middle 1800s, and he could only manifest his head. So he would come around my house when I was growing up. But
wow.
I think they can learn how to do different things. So I've had others that have been able to manifest their whole body. Some of them are more solid than others. Most of them are pretty translucent, but I've had some appear very solid. Now they are in another dimension. It's just like the extraterrestrials. So I've had greys. They know how to do it. These greys just pop in and they're solid, right?
Yeah.
So I had the side of my bed in the daylight. It was already, the sun had risen, and I felt it. And then I woke up. I was grabbing my diary, and then I looked over and noticed it, and I go, oh, my goodness. And so we had a dialogue. It's all telepathic,
that's
right?
Beautiful.
But, 3D.
Wow, that's great.
But these ghosts, and I call them ghosts, but they're really us, and we're just in a different dimension. I wonder if you could teach him, like get one of those, I think there are apps that you do the ghost hunting. You could ask him questions and see if he can learn how to talk through the different apps. What are they called? EMF or something? Some kind of an acronym.
Send them to me. I'd love to do that. Yeah, I've not heard of that.
Talking. I think it's they have YouTubes on all these people talking to the dead, and they have Robin Williams, all these people, and so the one with Robin Williams is really good, and it sounds just like him. And he said, when he died, he said he wasn't happy. He said, I made a mistake. He was using the F-bomb. And then after a few days, he came back and he said, I'm okay now. My dad found me. And
wow.
He's going to teach me.
Beautiful. Wow.
It's probably still up there on YouTube. It's chilling when you listen to these things.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's really cool. I know that he was a very big seeker of ufology, and the first thing, of course, a lot of the things they transfer is through consciousness, dimensions of consciousness through thoughts, and he confirmed all of that and all of the many races that are out there galactically, and that basically everybody's concerned about our planet, other than the residents of the planet, in conjunction with.
Who are you communicating that everybody's I got a little bit lost there. Who's confirming that everybody's concerned about the Earth?
Robert is.
No, I said
Robert is.
He was confirming, like through thought. He confirmed to me. He came to me through a consciousness communication. A higher consciousness communication, that there were so many races out there who are concerned about the safety of Earth, or whatever. We call it Earth, but our planet, our beautiful planet, because we have so many beautiful things here that we need to save and help, and the species too. And that's what we've come here to do, all types of us. And I thought that was interesting. Some of the ways to describe this are more feeling and receiving, and it's hard to put into regular verbiage, you know. Mm-hmm. So I tell stories a lot to help understand what I'm received, to help people to understand what I've received. So that's always been hard to do. So, but yeah, it's been great, and I've felt, and I'm sure you all have too, the energies of all of these that have made their transition on the planet now, in relation to this.
Well, that's the point. Like I feel it so much that when it started happening, it was just bombarding me, and I got up one day and I just went in and. I woke up and I went into the chair in Natasha's office and I just sobbed for about half an hour because I was just feeling these people and the pain of them exiting and so many of them exiting. And I've learned how to kind of gauge it now, and I'm okay with it. But I people and I've been feeling people that I was in a coma for 3 days before 911. And I'm psychic, so I knew it was coming, and now it's happening. So I'm just literally obsessed about it all because I know there's a way through it and out the other side, and that and it is transformational. It is the perturbation we've been looking for, and there's going to be an amazing new paradigm that emerges from all this, the elevation of consciousness. And so I've been talking to all kinds of people like yourself, and I think we're going to end up being more appreciative and kind and loving because that's what's happening right now.
Oh, I've seen that happen right now. Absolutely. Yeah, people are really more sensitive to each other. Even people who just make, customer service calls to people on the phone are sweet. I think everybody's waking up. I do. And, Janet, you're so empathic and so sensitive. I'm sure that they go to you for help, and Sasha, you too. They when people make their transition, I think they do to all of us light workers. Come and sometimes a little drained or very happy, and then all types of emotions can come through our beingness, and sometimes it gets a little shaky, So, but
I do have, when David Bowie died and Prince died, I think David went first. So David Bowie came to me first, and he was not happy. He was very, so I had to work with him. Now, it's like they come into, when I'm sleeping, they come through, and I've seen them 3D, so yeah. And then they have a conversation, like they're disoriented, I'm dead, what do I do? I would say, well, why me? There's all the psychics in the world. And so, I can't remember, I did counseling with them, because I do counseling. But then shortly after, Prince came through, and he was so ecstatic. He was so happy. He said, I'm free.
Wow.
He was like,
oh, how cool.
He said, oh, and I asked the same thing, why me? He said, well, you can see me seeing you, so I came to see you. I said, okay. He said, I have a gift for you. And I go, what? He goes, just wait. So he brought in all my favorites, like Gene Roddenberry and Leonard Nimoy and the John Lennon and George Harrison. And he just kept bringing all these people that I, knew in my life. He knew everything I was thinking and who I liked and brought them through.
Oh, I love that. Oh, cool.
Just showing it. He filled the whole room with all these people. I went, oh my God, I was so ecstatic. So I know there's no death. These people are still
that's so
alive.
Sweet. That's fun. Yeah, and they were knowing you. That's fun, isn't it? Yeah. That's great.
I had worked with Roddenberry's team early on when we were trying to get Star Trek back on when I was like, in my early 20s, so I'm an old lady. But
oh, man.
Anyway,
he was fabulous, yeah. Yeah, that's right. I remember those days.
About all this stuff. I wanted to ask about your husband's association with Roswell. Oh, we're at the break. Probably go back. There's 5-minute break. Just mute. Dropping the station. Bye.
What is that?
Hi. everyone, and welcome back to Stargate to the Cosmos. And I'm your host, Janet Clair Lesson. I'm here with my co-host, Dr. Sasha Alex Lesson, and our producer is Thomas Becker, also known as the Mad Painter. And you are listening to Studio B on Revolution.radio. Our guest is Karen Gresham Nickell, and before we get back to our show, I'd like to remind everybody to please go up to Revolution.radio. There's a button at the top left-hand side where you can make your one-time donation to the show. We are listener-supported, and you can also do a recurring donation by going to the Patreon link. And so we really appreciate your donations. We are very grateful for them, and we thank you because you allow us to bring you all these shows, and Sasha and I get to come on and have fun talking to all these wonderful people like Karen. So what would you like to say, Sasha, before we bring Karen back on?
I'm eager to listen to whatever you're going to share this time. I feel so stimulated when I just hear you rapping. So let's hear what's salient, what's really up for you to talk to us about right now.
And I did manage, Karen, to get your press kit loaded up. It's on aquarianradio.com. Your show is at the top of the site right now, and then it's about halfway down. Scroll down, and your press kit is 6 pages long. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Wow. Oh,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
And I can really hear you guys, too. The sound is great now. I hope you can hear me. Can you hear me better? Or
Yes.
because I can hear
We
you
can
guys
hear you.
great. You know, we sometimes these Wi-Fi waves come in and out, but it's so fun to be with you. And I'm open to talk about anything. We're all here doing the same thing, and we've all come into this planet to do it. So whatever race we came from. So
I want to know
we're
about
going to
your
succeed.
We are going to succeed. Okay, so how do you see this? That's a good thing. Well, if you were able to twitch your nose like Bewitched and bop your head like I Dream a Genie, how do you see this coming out?
How do I see it coming out?
Yeah, how do you see this pandemic resolving itself and the economic disaster and all the negative things that we're labeling it as negative, right? It is bad.
Yeah.
How do you see it coming out?
I think that the whole planet was on overload. And I think that in the first place, I'm going to talk about the environment. You know, since all of this and people have been staying at home and safely in place and secure, there's everything is cleared a lot more. Even they say that under the waters you can see the fish in some of the parts of the ocean. In India, I've heard that. And of course the pollution is so much less. So there's a lot of things happening. I also think it's wakening people up to the fact that there is a global problem of climate change. And I think that's positive. And I think that the people need to realize, and all of us do, that this planet and the third dimension is a real wonderful place, but it's a play. It's a theater, and we have many. And we come in, and when there's a test of have and have-nots in dealing with abundance and giving and being holding money back from people for whatever reason, narcissistic. And I think that all of that is being worked on right now for these times. If people will look, they have the opportunity to take a look and realize that these things that are great and all the material things that they have are nice, but they do end. And then the people who have them don't end. They're forever. They're eternal. And then what do they do? You know, how much energy do they have of knowledge that they've studied and walked their path to gather information about every molecular part of their structure to be able to be the true architect of their self? And then it's a lot better. So I think all this is going on. I think there's going to be some pretty hard roads, but I think that a lot of people are going to come into the light. I really do, to awaken. I think a lot of people are seeking. I don't really know that we need to have that much control in the 3D. I don't think we can. I don't think we need to. I don't think that's what we're here. We're outside those parameters in the other dimensions working through here to this. What do I think is going to come out? On the earth plane, I think there's going to be another wave of, kind of a tidal wave of heaviness and death and illness and change around August, September. And then I think that there's going to be more struggle. So everybody's going to virtual, For I myself, I'm having to learn like I've gone back to college and stay up all night and learn all these things, like Zoom and all these things. And it's a real, it's a challenge. But I think we're on the verge of doing so much way out there. And, Aquarians are supposed to be really good with IT and, computer stuff. So you're probably really great, Janet.
Yeah, I'm halfway decent.
Yeah.
I could use a young geek in my life. I used to have a young geek in my life. Somebody was always about 5 or 10 years younger than me, and they would answer my questions. But Sasha has a question.
Well, it's when I ask.
Yes, send me a geek. Okay, go ahead, Sasha.
Or just when I suggested that you identify with and speak as Dallas, what I realized is that I was interested in doing that, because what I got immediately was that having been there many times and being from California, it's so natural for us to be totally at one with the Chicano people, and we are one people. That is so obvious. The city knows it. Everyone that lives there knows it. So that's what the pandemic is also saying to us. We are all one people. We can all feel each other, and we all have gifts. And so that's what that city says to me. It says to me, that's what we have here. That's what we need here. That's what we model in our everyday lives.
That's right. That's exactly right. And that's true. I mean, and California knows that, and so does Texas. So I'm happy to be here to bond all these, these Earth races together for peace and love. And I think that needs to be done. We're all one. We're all the same. Nobody's any better.
So when you look at the worst in California, for example, right across the border, these called maquiladoras, these places where people work in terrible conditions for hardly anything, and it's like it's just a way of exploiting people to have this boundary instead of it's just a terrible, stupid thing that's going to be so obvious to everybody that it doesn't matter whether you have fences or not. We're all in this together. The virus is afraid of the fence.
Yeah, I know. Isn't that the truth? I mean, that is. You're talking about the other side of San Diego, right?
Yeah,
in California. Yeah, I can, but the energy's felt, because I know Robert and I were there about 4 years ago, and it was really great to feel that Chicano energy blending with all of us, blending as one. And I do know that who we have has put up boundaries. Well, what boundaries? Are they theater prop boundaries? They're not real boundaries, because there are no boundaries. But I agree with you totally on that one. Yeah, it's interesting that I think the boundaries are going to come down myself, probably for real.
Yeah,
that'd be nice, wouldn't
I think
it?
That's what's going to move into. You see, people like in the conspiracy thing is a bad thing. We're going to have the New World Order and the one government. But I come from an extraterrestrial culture where I go on other planets, and I've got class at night. thing. If I go to class all the time, they're showing me other systems. And this system is very perverse. Most worlds are united and they feel oneness and universal consciousness, and they're looking at us like, but this is part of the grand design, is the illusion of separateness, so that we would evolve, and it's kind of like the polarities, wider and further apart, so that helps us evolve faster. And that's what our guest said yesterday, that humanity evolved faster than almost any other species. The ones that are awake have evolved so fast compared to other species that might take, millions of years, and we're just doing it in, since humanity was created as a separate species about 200,000 years ago.
It's always been interventionist, and basically Shiva or Enki conveyed to his inner society that we're not gods, we're just people, and here's the real deal. But so the message has always been here for us.
So what I see, and then I'll pass it back to you, is that we're probably what I'm going to use should happen is that we get free energy system, because we're seeing what happens when we're we're locked down and we're not using these planes. So the planes are so deleterious to our environment, and they have to stop. Now I have a guest coming on, and he's working on these free energy systems, and they've been blocked. We've had them since Tesla or back to the Anunnaki, but they get blocked and monetized. So I think that this is going to force humanity into realizing our oneness and connecting and solving this problem.
Same here.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely. And I think that this is going to be the time also. This is interesting because what I see, I think disclosure is just a breath away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys
how do you
feel
see it?
Well, I think they may be coming. There's been a lot of activity. There's been a lot of activity around lately.
I think it's so obvious that the three of us our disclosure, we and the fractal of all the extraterrestrials and interdimensionals that have our interest in heart are becoming salient to us, and that part of us that's receptive is opening up to let them come from us too, and we become transformers, broadcasting in a field that is inclusive and taking more and more people into our one loving species on one loving planet, part of the galactic foundation of peace in the galaxy.
Absolutely. I say amen to that. Amen to that. You bet. That's who we came down here from our own group, and here we are, and we're talking about it, and we're reaching people, a lot of people. And I think that was a beautiful explanation, Sash. I really do. Thank you.
Now my question to you. So you have been working with all these people, and you do hypnotherapy, and you probably had your own contact or experiences. What have you discovered here to our listeners? Because what we have right now is a lot of testimonials. We're starting to get harder evidence, but we have a whole planet full of people that have had experience, and I have hundreds, if not thousands, that have come on my shows, and so anywhere else in the court of law, they would say that's disclosure. We have it. Look at all these people, thousands of people, but it just doesn't count for some reason in this human psyche. They want it to come as an announcement from the president, but I think we have disclosure. What have you uncovered in your research?
So well, it's interesting, and it happened about 3 or 4 years ago. And I don't know if I told you all about this or not, but it was very interesting. I have a friend, and we worked these things together, and we've studied and had experiences together for 25 years working this. And the last one we had, we were in another dimension, and we were finishing each other's sentence from the 3D. And we walked into this. If I've told you, you can probably tell me. it was like a clinic that had been empty, and it was like a laboratory with the type of material that white, and all the white thin type of material walls that a laboratory you would think that would do testings and all this kind of stuff. And we walked in, and we were all suited up like cosmic suits. But I thought, no, we weren't in cosmic suits because we were all in white. And so I remember that we were both aware of the same thing at the same moment. And we walked into these little rooms, and there were no people. There were no bodies, but there were blood. There was blood splattered in certain areas. And then the whole thing, this took about 4 minutes, and then the whole thing just ended, kind of. It was like a vignette. And then I've kept that and stored that in my brain as a memory, and so did this person. And so after that, I received a phone call, I guess about several months later, from someone very well known in the UFO arena. And they said that they wanted to have a reading with me. Nothing about this thing. And they said, by the way, I had a dream about you. And I know it may sound silly, but I said, sure, please tell me. And we scheduled the reading, and then they told me, they said, well, I dreamed that I was walking through this kind of like laboratory thing or something, and then there was a hole in it, and there was like someone must have been wrapped up in some kind of gauze or almost like a mummy, and that was it. And I was supposed to tell you. And I said, oh, my God. I said, you have the other piece to the puzzle of what, and I told them what I just told you. And I know that sounds little, but it's huge. And so I thanked them, and we did the reading, and I thought, this is interesting. And so then I had a student at the time who was working with me, and she was a medical professional in dermatology. And so she had.
And you're fading a little bit. Maybe talk closer to the mic.
Okay.
You're fading a little bit.
Better? Is that
That's
better?
better. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Go ahead. Continue.
And so she had a vision that kind of fit another piece of puzzle to that, about going into looking back, I guess peeling back like a little curtain in some of these rooms that you see on the television. It was kind of like that. Plastic, and they were trying to hold this man's skin down. I don't know what it was. It had to have been a virus. And a part of his tissue, they were using some kind of. Now, this grouping of people were of a high intelligence medically. It was not from on our realm, but apparently they were trying to keep this man's skin on him, and part of it was coming off. And a piece went up and hit her on the face, and she freaked out and left. This was in her vision, and that was it. So on the 3D level, on the Earth level, I guess it was about 2 or 3 weeks later, she had to go several times for allergic reactions out of nowhere. Here. And so she didn't finish it. And it was a little too much for her, and I could certainly understand that. But, I mean, that was amazing. That was amazing. And that's still just a little bit of a little puzzle type, theater type, and that's all it was to it. No glamour. No glamour, no theater. It was just that, but it was totally, solidly real. And
what happens is the coherent field that all of you have together. That means that's more information. That's fantastic. That means you're going to get more informed.
We were probably on some galactic system helping out, because we at the time felt like that we had been doctors at this place, and my husband felt the same way that he was, and it was really interesting when they would call our on the 3D level, on the Earth level, on the television, it would come up whenever they called the landline, would come up their name. And he said, well, there they are. They're wanting to give us more info about DNA. He just laughed. He said, doesn't this seem like we're living in two dimensions? I said, yes, honey, it does. And so then now the COVID comes in when it did. So it's strange.
Wow. As within, so without.
Yeah, right. So all of this is very familiar to me. And that's interesting. That's all I can tell you. I'm learning still.
Wow.
All mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've had shared experiences, too, where you see someone that you know in 3D life, and there they are in this quote-unquote dream, and they're on a ship. Or I've had some people say they go to a common location, and they see everybody else, and they're kind of like turned off, and they're leaned up against the wall. There's a couple of super soldiers. They looked around, and they woke up, and they raised their head, and they stood up straight, and everybody's in this room. They're all turned off. It's like we're a bunch of robots.
Wow. That's amazing.
Our difference of personalities, of course.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
I think I work at night at another job on another planet. I have like 3 or 4 different parallel lives that are ongoing, and I'll come back and I'll go, oh, yeah, I was on, and I give them little code names, and one I call Australia because it's just so foreign to me, and my mind is trying to wrap my head around where I just was. So it says, "Oh, you were in Australia." But when I'm in it, I often become aware, and whoever is observing me, I say, "I'm not in Australia." You keep telling me I'm
not on that consciousness level, huh? But maybe you are. Yeah. Well, maybe you were helping out down there whenever they were having all those fires. Maybe they called you for that.
I think it's another planet. It's another planet because it's not real. It's like I go over to the far side of this Australia, right? And I go in the ocean. I'm swimming with the dolphins, but it's like I'm a dolphin, but I'm not a dolphin. I'm a humanoid, so I might be a mer person or something. But I'm afraid to go in the ocean here. Actually, it's kind of weird to live around the ocean.
Well,
but in this,
because there's so many sharks, probably. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just because I'm afraid of drowning. But in that, where I go in that part, that's my environment. I'm not cold. It's like walking in the air in a summer warm day. Go ahead, Sasha.
Well, I'm sure there's a resonance in your life of unfinished resonance in your unfinished business from when you were indeed in Australia. That I know that it was a lack of empowerment that you had then that you're now starting to fully feel as your own empowerment. But that's you had unfinished business in Australia, and it was a resonance, even though that might have been your screen memory. It still was true about you in Australia.
But in this alternative person I'm accessing, I came back and had the negative experience with my boyfriend who is now deceased. But I came back and I went back to Australia and I spent a month there by myself, but I never did that here. But when I'm in this reality, I did that.
Yes.
I went and I have all these things that I'm visiting that I did, and I come back and go, I have no idea what's real anymore because that was so real that, Janet, who in her 30s, went back to Australia by myself, and I spent a month there. And so when I'm back again, I go, I'm back on Australia, and now I've got more things to do. So I'm going to places that I was, but I really wasn't in this Janet form, but I was in some other alternative lifetime. So I've got my past memory of my alternative
levels. Yeah, multidimensional.
I'm living in multi-consciousness right now.
Yeah.
It's everybody else having that go on. I have multi-dimensional lives. I have one where I go and I know where the office is. You have to go down the hill, and there's a big elevator that's outside between the giant trees, the building is somehow integrated into the trees. And I'm sitting there going, they don't have any kind of buildings like that here on Earth. Where am I? But I'm not worried about it because I'm going to my office, I'm going to my job, and then I come out, I go to my apartment, and I come back here and I go, man, I was working all night on my other job.
That's great. That's great, and that's very real. I think we're fortunate to realize that we live multi-dimensional places. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's great. It's different. We all come together to put our energy into the same things we've experienced, very much alike, and all that energy floats out into the consciousness. We're gifting right now. We're gifting the energies for the people. That's what we feel. Yeah.
So on some level, I know how this is going to end up. And it's going to be pretty much like Star Trek, but not any of them. All that war shit's gone. All that.
Yeah.
Somehow Star Trek became wars, but it goes back to the original vision, and that's what COVID is going to create. And I have no idea exactly the specifics, which would be, if I knew everything, it wouldn't be fun, right? But I know it's where we're going.
We're going to get off fossil fuels. We're going to be through, and it's really going to affect Texas and a lot, because we ain't going to be using oil the way we've been using it.
I know.
Okay, Karen, let me talk now. Go ahead. Your turn. Talk.
Well, it's okay. Well, I think we're going back to a more natural way. Did you guys see the little video called The Great Realization with the dad who had a beautiful British accent talking to his little boy about a fairy tale?
No,
it's just
look at it.
Wonderful. It's on my timeline. You should check it out. It's so cute. It's like about 4 minutes long, and he's talking about a fairy tale about what's happened during this time and what it was, and it's really cute. It's good for children.
Oh, well, good for me, too.
And it's good for us, too. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think
I definitely want to get that from you.
I think that it's going to come out. I think that this is going to come out in the end good. I think there will be a vaccine and a way to protect ourselves, and then I think it's just going to go away. It's just going to, I don't know if that's the word you use, but I don't think it's going to be anything, but I think it's going to be a while. I think that a lot of people are going to have to change, and people are going to have to, people are going to have to pull in their materialism of ego and greed and open up more to others and feel the sensitivity. That's the big thing. That's the big thing in our field, too. And not have it like a corporation. That's not what we're about.
Right. We're a family instead of a corporation.
Right. Meeting all the needs of humanity. So I get this thing a bit. Yang took off and he made the basic minimum income, which I think is a concept that's been around for a long time. But the download I got from the ETs was the basic minimum needs economy. The whole society would get their basic needs met. So no one would want for anything. Now, if you wanted to work, you would work because you liked doing what you were doing. So if you became a doctor, it wasn't going to be because you were making 6 digits. You did it because that's what you felt like doing. That was your interest. And so the society shifts that. The needs are met. Now, what happened, so this was years ago, I got this download about what's going to happen. And it actually, it was like this image of we were going around musical chairs, the music stopped, and where we ended, that's where we are. So right now they've frozen. So we don't pay rent. You don't collect mortgage. Right? They've frozen it right now, and it's like, where it stopped. That's where you are, and you the mortgage is done, and so is the rent. And I went, oh my God, I got this download 10 years about this time, and so. So basically, this is what I was going to say, and I'll pass it back to you. So you know how they're covering these trillions of dollars that they're giving to bail out everybody out? This next round, hopefully they'll bail out human beings, and we're supposed to get $2,000 a month and $8,000 retroactive to March. I said, let's go for it. Let's go for it, because that's what Yang was talking about, base minimum income. But you know how they back it? They make little tiny coin that's between the size of a dime and a quarter, right? And they mark it $1 trillion, and then they stick that in the vault, and then they in the computer they say, now we have $1 trillion, let's distribute it. Money is so fake. the only reason why we think it's real is because we give it value. And that's what, if you go back in time, and set up money for us. It's just an illusion. So it's kind of funny. So they're going to make
It's a measurement of abundance, of giving, and it's a test. It's a test. Is what it is. It's a huge test. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's interesting. But we'll,
what will be wrong with sitting up and getting,
the ETs
4 or 5
care of their own,
Right.
I think the ETs take care of their own.
They do. They do.
Mhm. Yeah, absolutely.
So, what species have you interacted with any ET species in particular?
Have I any particular species?
Do you have special spirit guides that are of a certain other species? Is what she wants to know.
Maybe Pleiadian, and Illyrian, Pleiadian, and I've had. Let's see, I did a reading for one who was a reptilian about 4 years ago, and it was kind of unusual. We did Skype. And as a matter of fact, she was from Australia. Isn't that weird? And she said, this was funny. She said, now I would like a reading, but I want to sit here. This was a visual thing. She said, now you just sit there for 45 minutes, and I'm gonna take it from your field, and you don't have to say a thing. And I thought, okay, well, this is really super different. And she said that she was a draconian. And but she sent me all these little hearts, and so I didn't say anything for 45 minutes, and she came around and she said, I just want to tell you when it was over, this is the best reading I have ever had. I knew a Pleiadian could do it. And I said, okay. She said, well, I want to ask a question about my boyfriend. This was really cute. She said, when is he going to be able to be back in his real self and not having to shapeshift and wear the shapeshifted costume all the time? And I thought, wow, this is so cool, and I didn't know. I said, well, when he's supposed to, he will. And she said, well, he told me it's just going to be 2 more Earth years. Is this the truth? And so it was really, really cute and different. And she sent me some pictures of where she was and lived in these spas on the beach all over the world with these other 4 friends who were also different races, and sent me a picture of them. It was really different, but it was very sweet. And so I thought that was quite interesting. I've never heard from her again, so I guess I gave her a good reading.
Wow. Yeah. It's interesting. If you contact her again, she could not phrase that question to you unless you knew what the answer was.
Oh, about when he can be in his form.
She knew, and so and she knows, and it's very interesting. And whatever you did, you're clear. You're so clear that it just bounced back to her, and she got it.
Yeah, she did. It was really interesting, And
wow.
We hear about reptilians, but there are different types of reptilians. But she was a sweet kind, and I asked her. She said, "I know that Pleiadians and a lot of the other races and everything think it's not necessary for chaos." And I said, to make the peaceful change. And I said, well, what do you all do? She said, well, we think that chaos brings about change for transition of peace. And I said, okay. I said, whatever is, blessed be to peace, peace for all galactic races. And she sent me some little hearts, and that was it. It was like, all these races were getting together. Isn't that cool?
Wow.
That sounds great. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So she was totally aware of her. So she was in a human form. So she had been born human.
A beautiful girl. Of human form. A beautiful girl. And she was, I guess she wanted him to go back into his real form. and he had to keep doing some work down here, and he said just 2 more years. It was really interesting. So I don't know where they are. I guess they may have gone on and shape-shifted and gone back to where they were. But it was really interesting. I've seen a lot of experiences like that.
I've met a number of people that they say they really are reptilian. I've engaged with a reptilian that I interacted with from about age 4 till about 12. And then when I was writing up my episodes with him, he came through and told me the rest of the story. And we did a forgiveness because he's there. I'm so sorry that I frightened you, because I was frightened when I was younger. But I learned that, it's easy to demonize an entire species, but they're just like humans, and they're complex,
It's just like a different race. Absolutely.
It's like a different race. They're just in a different form.
And
you probably know Misha Johnson.
Huh?
Yeah. You probably know Misha. Misha has a son that's on the other side, but interdimensionally, and she's seen him on board ship, and he's absolutely a beautiful being. Some of them are really striking, handsome.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, that's right. And they can be back and forth communicating, too.
Yeah, we're not limited to our, telephones and internet. We can communicate at many levels. Now, I'm really curious about your husband's interest in Roswell. Was he there in some capacity in a past life or
Well, this is interesting. We went there on a vacation years ago in the early 2000s and checked it out and, did our own thing and kind of hung around before it was really developed by Stanton Friedman, the museum and everything. And we tried to just kind of hang around and get out there, but we didn't know really where we were going. But he was, it's kind of interesting. We had another interesting experience. We went out in 2016 after the conference. We went to Las Vegas, and I told him, I said, "Listen, I'm not gonna leave here until we go to Area 51." And he said, "Well, that's 3 hours away from Las Vegas." And I said, "I don't care. We have to do it." And so, anyway, we did, and I didn't realize the time, was so. So we started off at like 2:00 in the afternoon, got there at 5, getting dark, and I have some pictures I'm going to post, and the clouds look like ships, and there wasn't anybody on this road, and we went to the Little Alien Inn. Have you all ever been there?
No, it's cute.
It's a little trailer house, a little hamburger place, and T-shirts. It's cute. And I think they kind of watch for people who are interested in going down that road. And so by that time it was dark. And so we got in there, and we walked in and had a hamburger, and it's really interesting. And Robert he said, "It's dark." He said, "How are we going to get down that road?" He said, "Well, I'll ask one of the ladies here in the restaurant how we can get down." And she said, "Well, it's a gravel road right by the side of this restaurant, a Little Alien, but you have to go about 25 miles an hour because there'll be animals crossing probably. And if you see a white car with all black windows around it, don't be upset because nothing will happen." But can you imagine? I know. But when you get to the light where don't step over the red light, or they'll come and take you, and they'll take your car, and you'll pay all this money, and this, that, and the other, and they'll have guns pointed at you. So I said, "Okay, well, we're going to go." And Robert asked, he said, "Are you sure you want to do this?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, sure we're going to do it." So we did. He said, "Okay, we'll do it." And so after he got out of college, back in the 60s, he went to work for Bergstrom Air Force Base in Austin. And so he started that, and then he worked for Ellington Air Force Base in Houston. But anyway, we had eaten the hamburger. I had bought a couple of T-shirts. He had paid and gone out to the car, and I was behind. And I talked to one of the girls, and they seemed almost robotical. And I said, "What if we miss the gravel road?" She said, "You won't. It's just the side of the restaurant here." And she said, "It's just like Bergstrom." And I said, "What?" And I thought something had told me to be quiet. And I said, "Okay, thank you." And I turned around and walked out. And I got in the car. I said, "Hey, you're not going to believe what they said." And he said, "Well, I thought they were a little different." He said, "Well," I said, they made the mention of Bergstrom." He said, "Are you kidding me?" And I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I imagine they probably," I said, "Well, they must have checked out our license, car license, and how did they know you were tied with Bergstrom?" He said, "Maybe they're not from here." And I said, "Maybe so. They're either not from here or they're from the government." And he said, "Whatever it was, they wonder why somebody's going down that little road at 10 o'clock at night." So we drove down it. And he said, "Now, what are you going to do?" And I said, "Well, I'm going to step out and take some pictures." And he said, "Don't you step over that red line." And so I didn't. and so I would get scared, and I'd get real close and take some pictures around, and then the lights started going off, and I'd jump back in the car, and he was waiting in the car because he had his cannula, and he was wearing oxygen and a little shoulder purse at that time. And so he was looking at the pictures. I would take some with my camera, then some with my iPhone. And so there were little tiny lights all around. And he said, "What is this?" I said, "What is this?" He said, "Well, it looks like they're pointing a gun at you or targeting. They're trying to target you." And he said, "Either that or it's not from here." And I have all that on pictures. God. And it was really quite an experience. So Derek, my little angel who helps me, he's been in the service, and he knows everything about that. He said, "Listen, let me tell you something." He said, "You know what that is?" He said, "That's not from here." He said, "That's not from," he said, "This looks like you had visitors out there. That's what those little lights are. Look at them moving around." So I had that experience. So anyway, I did make it out there. So that's as far as I got, but I could say I went there and had a little experience. So I would recommend it. I would recommend it. I would.
Maybe someday we'll make it. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Well, then there's Area 52, and then there's everything else. So,
right.
as I've gotten older, I can't travel around. Huh?
They visit Janet wherever she is.
Oh, yeah, of course. You don't have to go there. Right. Absolutely.
I've probably been there. I know. You don't often know where you are when they take you. It's like, I could be anywhere.
Oh, exactly. It's more for the earth part of us, I think, to see it, and experience it down here on 3D. But they were there with us, and they know right where we are, wherever we are. Yeah.
I mean, when I left to come to Hawaii in 1993, and I had been in Pennsylvania, and they followed me from Pittsburgh up to State College, which is 3 hours away, and I thought, well, maybe I have to go to the other side of the world to get away from them. And, no. It was even worse. Hawaii is a hotbed for, remember the lady got taken out of her window in New York? And when I went to Honolulu, I was living in a high-rise, 14 stories up. It was, I don't know how tall it was, but I was on the 14th floor. And I had a boyfriend who was very spiritual, and he had been a contactee. So, he's sleeping with me, and here they come, and they take me right out the window. Oh, Napolitano. And I go, "Oh, this is like what you did to Linda Napolitano. You're doing it to me, too." Bloody fun, har. They have a sense of humor. They do.
They do. They like to play and have fun. They do. And they get a kick. It's almost like children. I feel that.
It's got to be two ways. It's the kick that they're getting you're learning from, and it's going two ways. You're getting some of their wisdom, and they're getting some of your creativeness, and whatever it is, it's going two ways. And so every contact enriches both of you. That's what I think.
I think so too. I think that's exactly, I feel that. Yeah, that's beautifully spoken. That's great. I agree with that. That's exactly what it is. And they have a lot of fun doing it and watching us and helping us.
Mm-hmm,
so we never know what's going to be from when we live moment to moment now. And I think day by day more now than we did before this stuff happened here, you know. That's my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
We live more in the moment of the present. Yeah, and it's great. I think that we need to realize that our energies and everybody's energies are matter that contribute to send love and healing out to all of this that's happening. I really do. And people need to be cautious. You know, they need to protect the physical body with the things that are around. I don't see that much here. You asked me about Dallas. I see a lot of people walking around without gloves. I see a lot of people here. Is this better?
Yes.
Is it okay?
Yes.
I see a lot of people walking around here without gloves and mask, and you know, not following the rules of, you know, protection. And I think that's necessary, you know, where we can hurry up and get rid of all this.
What do you think that's about with these people?
What people? The people that are doing all this?
That are walking around and not. So do they just stop and leave, or are they rebelling, or what do you think that's about?
I think there are some that think this is overdone and they think it's no big deal, and it's the press and the media has brought it up, blown it up. And I think there are others who, in the younger realm, they feel like they're kind of immune to it, don't have to do it. Then you have the egos, people who feel like they don't have to do it. I think there are many types of categories who feel it's not necessary. And then those that feel like it's necessary. But as time goes by, just like 9/11, it's really impactful, and then it diminishes with time. And I was
reading how the previous one, it was really active, and people were just dropping like flies, and then it went away, but then it comes back again. So,
are you talking about Ebola?
The 1918 to 1920.
Oh yeah, the Spanish flu. Yeah.
You're right. And then anyway, we caught something going to the conference in February 2018, the UFO Congress. We were in Vegas and so sick. I didn't think we were going to make it.
In Scottsdale?
Yes. Were you there at that one?
No, I wasn't. But that is interesting. So these things can be going around and we not even know it. I mean, that's another thing. It's interesting you said that. I mean, yeah. Were y'all sick? Very
trying to find the source of it, but they keep pushing it back. They were examining previous cases in the middle to late 2019, and they were saying, well, we thought the person died of the flu, and they'd go get their body fluids, whatever they took, the blood and stuff, and they would go run it through again, and they find out after the fact that person had COVID-19. So wow. I just wonder how many people died throughout 2019, or maybe even examining the 20. Well, I guess they compare the 2018 variation to, but they say it keeps mutating. I think my theory is that this was the ancient wars that they had, where they had the biochemical warfare. See, we're the Anunnaki researchers. So I
think so too. I do believe that. I think this is wartime. I think it's biochemical. I do. I really do.
Yeah.
And I think it's a replay of that. I agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
And those people disappear.
Prince Marduk or Satan repeatedly used biochemical weapons on people.
Yeah. And then they're dormant in these jungles, and then we go in and we start dredging it up, and then, so where did it originate from, thousands of years ago? And then it apparently came from the cosmos, and they were having warfare, so it's just been around.
You know what? It's just like the landmines. They're like landmines that we've left to cripple our children.
Well, that's right.
Or it could be a defense mechanism of the planet itself. So if we get too big for our britches and we keep, if we overpopulate and we're too widespread, and the planet wants to pull us back and wipe out some of the population, just lets it go and it runs its course. Because it was 100 years ago and really devastated the population at the time. Maybe it's just like, okay, we got too big for our britches, and she's going to call the population.
No, he's right. Plowing up more of the land stirs up more of the pathogens that are should remain under the soil. If it's in the ground, leave it there. That would be one of the basic principles. If it's in the ground, leave it there.
I think so too. I think that's true. Isn't that true? Yeah. I mean, it's a repeat. Exactly. So if we, as we work to evolve consciousness and continue those to wake up, then a lot of that will diminish and go down. So that's what we're here to work on. We kind of, go ahead.
Just the responsible way to run all the oil workers out of business is to give them a total financial support at the same level, or make sure their life isn't diminished and they get, just to respect what their contribution and not just throw them aside, but to ease the terror of the land and the poisoning of the water out of our cycle.
Right. Well, the Mother Earth, so to say, the Earth itself feels crushed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It feels. It has emotions. It couldn't take it anymore. So it's cleansing. I give a lot to the Dolphin Research Society, or I try to in Grassy Key, but I wish I had more to give because they really need help. They do a lot. They've given their whole life to those dolphins down there, and it's amazing. So, I try to do all I can, to that. But I feel like that I do a lot of my work to channel the light to give them resources, and I'm sure a lot of people do that, where they can have their needs met to keep going,
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell us about yourself. We have one more minute. How do people reach you? What's coming up?
Well, my website is KarenGresham.com, KarenGresham.com, and then I'm on YouTube, and then I have 3, they used to call them CDs out, and I have 2 or 3 in English and one's in Portuguese. And then they can get the MP3s from there, too. So it's called I Am Cosmic, or in Portuguese, Eu Sou Cósmica. So I have that, and then I make personalized MP3s for people who are wanting me to tune into their energy field of what they need and things that are needing to be programmed in there for them to awaken consciousness for whatever they're looking for and however their energies are. And that's what I've been doing for a long time.